Could monarchy and Hindu nationalism be on the verge of making a comeback in Nepal? Now that's a question that has been sparking debates and stirring up the political pot lately. In this video, we're going to take you on a journey through the recent political happenings in Nepal. We'll start at the point where the monarchy was abolished in 2008, and Nepal was declared a secular state in 2007. And we'll work our way up to the recent protests that have been making headlines, so buckle up and get ready for an intriguing ride through the fascinating political landscape of Nepal. In 2008, Nepal underwent a significant transformation as it abolished its monarchy. A pivotal moment in the nation's history, this change was not a sudden impulse, but the result of a series of events and decisions that had been brewing for years. In the years leading up to the abolition, Nepal was rife with political unrest and turmoil. The monarchy under King Gyanendra was seen by many as an outdated and oppressive institution. The king's autocratic rule, where he held complete power, was met with growing discontent and resistance from the people and political parties. Key players in this dramatic shift were the political parties themselves, particularly the Maoists, who were instrumental in driving the call for change. They, along with other parties, pushed for a democratic republic, arguing it would be more representative and fair for the Nepalese people. The change was not without resistance. There were those who staunchly supported the monarchy and its traditions. However, the tide was turning. The people, yearning for change, took to the streets in protest, risking their lives to voice their demands for a democratic republic. These protests, coupled with political pressure, eventually led to the decision to abolish the monarchy. The reactions of the Nepalese people varied widely. Many celebrated the end of an era they saw as oppressive, welcoming the promise of a new democratic future. However, there were also those who mourned the loss of a system and a tradition that had been a part of Nepal for centuries. With the monarchy gone, Nepal declared itself a republic, marking the beginning of a new era. This was a significant turning point, a moment that promised change and progression. Yet, as with any major shift, it also brought about its own set of challenges and uncertainties, which we'll delve into in the next scene. A year before the monarchy was abolished, Nepal had already taken a significant step in its political evolution. In 2007, Nepal declared itself a secular state, a momentous decision that marked a turning point in the nation's history. This was a significant departure from its previous status as the world's only Hindu kingdom, a title it held for centuries. The decision was driven by the interim constitution of Nepal, which sought to ensure the country's transition into a secular state that respects all religions. Being a secular state means that the government does not favor or endorse any particular religion. In Nepal, this meant a shift in the dynamics between the state and the religious communities. The majority of Nepal's population is Hindu, with substantial Buddhist, Muslim, and Christian communities as well. As a secular state, the government is committed to protecting the rights of all these communities, ensuring they have the freedom to practice their religions without interference. This shift was not without controversy. The declaration of secularism was met with resistance from some quarters, especially those who felt that Hinduism, as the religion of the majority, should hold a special place in the country's constitution. However, the proponents of secularism argued that it was a necessary step to ensure equal rights and protections for all religious communities. The change to a secular state also had implications for the country's international relations. As a Hindu kingdom, Nepal had a unique identity that set it apart. As a secular state, it joined the ranks of many other nations that separate religion from governance, aligning itself more closely with global norms. The transition has not been entirely smooth. There have been tensions, disagreements, and even protests about the nature of secularism in Nepal. Yet the commitment to secularism has remained a cornerstone of Nepal's constitution, even as the political landscape has evolved and changed. As a secular state, Nepal was charting a new course, but it was not without its challenges. Fast forward to the present day, and Nepal finds itself in the midst of political turmoil. In recent times, the streets of Kathmandu have echoed with the chants of tens of thousands of people, calling for a return to monarchy and the re-establishment of Nepal as a Hindu state. The air has been thick with the scent of tear gas as riot police have clashed with protesters, trying to keep them from moving toward the city center. This is a far cry from the secular republic that Nepal became in 2008. These protests are not isolated incidents. They are a manifestation of the deep-seated frustrations with the current political system. The presidential election in Nepal not too long ago was a stage for political feuds and heightened uncertainty. The election resulted in a hung parliament and a fragile coalition government. The Prime Minister's decision to support a candidate outside the coalition led to the biggest party in the alliance withdrawing its support. This has only added fuel to the fire, sparking concerns about further political instability. Moreover, allegations of corruption have been a constant thorn in the side of the government. The people of Nepal have grown weary of the frequent changes in government and the political turmoil that seems to have become a common feature of their country. The economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic has only exacerbated these feelings, as the country tries to balance its relations with India and China. The protesters' call for a return to monarchy is not just about reinstating King Gyanendra, who has been living as a private citizen with no power or state protection since the monarchy was abolished. It is a desperate cry for stability, a plea for the restoration of a system that, in their view, could bring an end to the political chaos that has gripped the nation. Simultaneously, the demand to turn Nepal back into a Hindu state is a reflection of the dissatisfaction with the country's shift to being a secular state in 2007. This shift was a significant change in the fabric of a country where a majority of the population practices Hinduism. It ignited debates about the identity of Nepal and the place of religion in its governance. These protests have shown a spotlight on the dissatisfaction with Nepal's current state of affairs, raising questions about the country's future. From the abolition of the monarchy to the declaration of a secular state and the recent protests, Nepal's political journey has been anything but straightforward. Let's recap the key points we've discussed in this video to better understand the current state of affairs in Nepal. Firstly, we dove into the abolition of the monarchy in 2008. A momentous event that marked the end of centuries of royal rule and the beginning of a new era. We saw how the former king Gyanendra was transformed into a private citizen, with no power or state protection to speak of. The monarchy, once a pillar of Nepalese society, was replaced by a republic with a president at its helm. Next, we explored the shift to secularism in 2007, a significant milestone that marked a departure from Nepal's status as a Hindu state. This change was not just about religious freedom, but also about the deep-seated desire for a fair and equal society where all citizens, regardless of their faith, could thrive. Our journey then brought us to the recent protests and the current political instability. We witnessed tens of thousands of Nepalese citizens taking to the streets, expressing their dissatisfaction with the status quo and calling for a return to monarchy and the country's former status as a Hindu state. This public uprising underscores the deep-seated frustration with the current political system, perceived corruption, and overall instability. Today, Nepal finds itself at a crossroads, grappling with political uncertainty and public dissatisfaction. The presidential election has caused feuds among political parties and created an environment of political uncertainty. The fragile coalition government, resulting from a hung parliament, is another testament to the volatile political climate. The widespread protests, the call for a return to monarchy, and the demand to re-establish Nepal as a Hindu state all reflect the deep-rooted discontent among the public. It seems that many Nepalese citizens yearn for a sense of stability and continuity that they believe the monarchy and a Hindu state could provide. As Nepal navigates its political future, the question remains, will monarchy and Hindu nationalism be established in Nepal again? Only time will tell.